World War I, also known as the Great War, lasted from 1914 to 1918. It was a war that divided almost all of Europe, and forever changed the way we think about battlefields and military combat. As 10 million Europeans fought each other to the death, many wondered why. How did the tensions between countries get so bad that it had to end in this massive war? A lot of historians think that World War I was inevitable, or unavoidable. According to them, World War I happened for 4 main reasons, and we remember these reasons using the acronym MAIN. The first reason comes from the letter M and stands for militarism. Militarism is the glorification of war and the military. Countries in Europe saw military size and strength as a form of competition. They were eager to prove that they were better than the rest of European nations. So they were in an arms race, which is where each country tries to collect bigger and better military technology to show their superiority. So the British developed battleships, which were called dreadnoughts, and the Germans soon had battleships as well. Additionally, the armies of France and Germany more than doubled from 1870 to 1914 as they built up their militaries. Military technology quickly became a way for Europeans to compete and show who was the strongest. Massive Great War between all of Europe was the perfect opportunity, they thought, for them to show off their military power. One vocab word that you need to know that relates to militarism is conscription, and conscription refers to when a government makes it mandatory for civilians to serve in the military. This was one way that they made their army stronger, by forcing people to join them. And now for the second cause of World War I. The A in MAIN stands for alliance systems. Alliance systems were defense agreements between nations in Europe, and because of these alliances, when one country declared war on another, many other countries were forced to get involved. When we're talking about World War I, or the Great War, there's 2 main alliance systems that are involved. And the first one is the Triple Alliance, which was between Austria-Hungary, Germany, and Italy, and they went up against the Triple Entente, which was made of Russia, France, and Great Britain. Entente is a French word, and it's one of your vocab words. It means a friendly understanding between nations. It's like an alliance, but it's not as strict. If you're involved in an entente with someone, it's kind of like you're pretty sure you have each other's backs, but it's not guaranteed that you will have to follow that country into war or back them up in a fight. So this map shows you the 2 different alliance systems that were in Europe before the Great War. And in the middle, this olive green, this shows you the people who were involved in the Triple Alliance. And that was Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Interestingly enough, when push came to shove, Italy did not go to war with the members of its alliance. Italy waited until 1915 and then entered the war on the opposite side, which is shown here in that regular green color. And it's made of the United Kingdom, or Great Britain, France, and Russia. They made up the Triple Entente. So if you look at this cartoon, it shows you why you had so many countries getting pulled into World War I because of the alliance system. You could have a small conflict in an area like Serbia, and you would see that eventually the big European powers like Russia, Germany, France, and Great Britain all get involved in the fight because they've made promises or alliances to other countries. The third cause of World War I is imperialism. Because European countries had taken over so much of the world as colonies, there were a lot more areas to battle for control of. So the war spread from Europe out to European-controlled colonies. And Europeans wanted to take colonies from their enemies to control more natural resources. Remember, a lot of the machines, of the tanks, of the battleships, they all needed natural resources to build them and also to help them run. So if you can control natural resources, you will be weakening your enemies. And the final cause of World War I is N for nationalism. So we've already learned about nationalism. You should know that nationalism made Europeans feel competitive and also love their country, and they're very eager to prove this. And nationalism is a cause of World War II in two different areas. One is between France and Germany, and the other is that nationalism caused a lot of problems in an area called the Balkans, which you'll learn about in one moment. First, in France and Germany, there was this area that both France and Germany thought they should have control of. It was called the Alsace-Lorraine. You can see it here on this map. And the Germans, at the start of World War I, had control of this area. But the French, they felt a lot of pride about this area. They wanted to win it back. And because of nationalism, they were willing to go to war to win it back. So the big problem area when it comes to nationalism was an area called the Balkans, which you can see circled here. This is a part of Europe with a lot of different ethnic groups of people, and because of nationalism, these ethnic groups wanted to break apart to form their own countries. One ethnic group, called the Slavs, living in Serbia, wanted to unite with other Slavs living in Austria-Hungary. Problem was, Austria-Hungary did not want to let these regions be independent because it would weaken Austria-Hungary's power. Because of nationalism, there was a lot of tension, a lot of conflicts, and even terrorist groups fighting for independence around Serbia and Austria-Hungary. While none of these four main reasons actually caused violence to start, they did get Europe ready, prepared, and in some places even eager for there to be a war. Countries wanted to prove they were stronger than one another. They wanted to prove their country was best. They had armed themselves with weapons. They were fighting for natural resources. And a lot of countries didn't think that this war, which wound up lasting for 4 years and killing 10 million men, would take long. A lot of them thought it would be over by Christmas, but as we know, it became a disastrous event known as the Great War.